from St. Louis, Missouri, Pat Patterson. His opponent from Chicago, Illinois, the fabulous Johnny King. Everybody, and welcome once again to Championship Bowling from the beautiful strike and spare lanes here in Northbrook, Illinois, where each week you see two of a field of 24 of the outstanding bowlers in the game today. Over $60,000 in prizes, $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the loser. Now, each of the bowlers that you'll see here this week will appear again. It's 6 games total pins in 2 appearances, meeting different opponents to qualify for the $15,000 added championship roll-off. All competition sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, $10,000 additional for all 300 scores. We got a pretty good match here this week, and I think you'll enjoy it, so stay with us. Johnny King, a fellow who's done very well on television, and the big fellow from St. Louis, the big Irishman, Pat Patterson. We'll be ready for game number 1 in just a moment. Pat Patterson starting off. First game on the left side. Patterson won the toss, elected to start on the left side, lane 47 here at the strike and spare lanes, finishing on the right, the lane that he feels is the best of the two as far as he's concerned. All games starting on the left, that bowler bowling 1 complete frame, then his opponent going from right to left, and each of the boys finishing that way. The spare for Pat Patterson, member of the AMF staff, and here is Johnny King, better known as the man with the long cigar. A Cleveland product, moved to Chicago in 1957, has had great success on television. A great performer, throws, looks thin, doesn't get there. The 2, the 4, the 5, and the 8. Better known as the bucket, and as far as King is concerned, one of his toughest spares. Johnny will tell you the 2-5-8 or this, the 2-4-5-8. The 4, of course, doesn't make too much difference in trying to convert this one. You've got to watch the pick, the center pin up front, picking off the 5, follow through to get the 8, and John managed to kick the 8 out of there, but he got it off the kickback. So both boys off with spares, and as we repeat, the toughest assignment here to start with is to get the first strike. Then, of course, the first double. And from there on, well, it's how far you can string them out. King moves left. Started bowling in 1940 in Cleveland. Has had a 300 on television. Look out, John. On the nose. Look at that. Look at that. How about that? Well, Johnny just didn't understand what happened. He went right through the middle, and one of those AMF Kim Weld pins came over from the kickboard on the left and went right across the pin deck to knock out the 6-10. So Pat Patterson moves in on the right. King with 20 in the first frame, works on a strike. Patterson to the line, looks too high. He almost carried one, leaves the 6-pin. Here's a fella that's had a very colorful career. He has had 4 sanctioned 800 totals. He has rolled 31 perfect scores, 10 of them sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. Look out, 6-pin, he's got it. Well, everybody was holding on there. It looked like Patterson might go past it on the outside. Pat's high on television is a 727 series. His high single game on television in Cleveland, 299. He left the 5-pin on his final ball. throws, got to hurry. Gets there, leaves the 4-pin. Got a piece of the pocket. Pat got started when he was only 12 years old. His father, a pretty good bowler, used to shoot in the 190s. Got Pat interested. As a youngster, he was known as Claude Pat Lewis Patterson. There's the Cubs. So Pat looking for his first strike, 38 spare, as Johnny King moves in on the right, working on that cave-in. Let's see what he can do with it. .47. Just a bit tight, so King unable to take advantage of that lucky strike. This fellow was the Cleveland match game champion before he moved to Chicago in '57, and the same year, '57, and again in '59, became the Chicago match game champion. A great competitor at the 4-7 cover. So at the end of 3, it's King out in front by just 2 pins. Both men are on spares. We go into the 4th frame. John reaching out, getting some nice cool air on his throwing hand from the AMF hand dryer, one of the wonderful conveniences to make this game so much more enjoyable. He gave that one enough room. He's there, and Johnny gets the first real good strike of this match. And I might tell you that in practice sessions here in the past 2 days, Mr. King has been red hot. Some of the boys that had been keeping track come up with a statistic that King had 23 out of 24 strikes in one string. Here's Patterson. Little inside this time. There's Pat's first good strike. Patterson moved slightly inside, gave it a little room, and a fine lift. They're both on strikes going into the 5th. You know, many bowling establishments serve more than one purpose. In fact, a woman told us here at the Strike and Spare Lanes the other day that a new bowling center that she knew about was used for civic meetings. Another's used for duplicate bridge. Many of them have restaurants so that you can now combine an evening of dinner and bowling. It's a lot of fun that way. Look out! And Mr. Patterson does not get there. The 2-4-5-8, the bucket. I'm sure that you can discover for yourself many of the comforts and conveniences now provided at bowling centers the nation over. It's recreation, it's fun, it's good for you. The 2, the 4, the 5, the 8. And boy, he made that one. No consideration there at all of picking that cherry. Pat wasn't worried. He just threw right at the 2 and the 5. And here's Mr. King, Johnny boy, with a chance to take the lead with a double. Both boys have filled all frames. King on 1. He throws. He is there. And Mr. King tears them apart, and Johnny gives it the real college try. So at the end of 5, it's Patterson, 78 spare. King is 60 in the 3rd. He works on 2. We're in the 6th frame. First game. King throws once more. Johnny just kicks that foot out, and he knew where that one was the minute he let loose of it. That's 3 in a row for Johnny, the man with the cigar king, as Mr. Patterson certainly realizes now that he has a tiger on his hands. Pat has had 1 strike, unable to cash it in. He's in the 6th. He's lost 2 pins in count, same angle. He's there, and you're going to hear from this fella. So Patterson has made a definite move here on the right side, lane 48 at the Strike and Spare Lanes. He moved slightly inside. He's got a good line, and he's had 2 in a row now on the right. He's been short on the left. Left a 4-pin on a mixer, left the bucket in the 5th, and I'm sure this one he'll want to get up there. Let's see what he does. It's there. Yes, sir. There's the double. So we have a couple of boys moving now. At the end of 7, we find Patterson working on 2, 98 double, and up steps King working on 3. Johnny King shot a 300 on television in 1957 and won himself $10,000. Look out, John. He doesn't get there, and he has the 2-5. Over a run of 25 three-game matches on Detroit television, something we were rather close to over the years, this fella averaged .227 for 75 games. He was never under 600. He loves those television cameras. He's got the spare. Well, these boys have been certainly covering spares. We've had a couple of clusters, buckets, and the boys, Patterson covered his beautifully. King covered the 2-5 the way it's supposed to be covered, although John at the bucket in the first frame gave us some concern, but he managed to get it off the kickback. We're in the 8th. King out in front by 10 pins. Patterson is on the strike. Johnny throws. He's in. Well, Johnny was a bit concerned. Thought he might be a little high, but the 4-pin was crowded out of there. So King now 158 with a big strike in the 8th. Still has a possible 248 as Patterson needs this strike to put this game even to the pin. Big strike for Patterson. Playing deep again. Inside. Throws it out. And here it comes. He carries. This Patterson showing us quite a ball here on the right side. He must be playing 6 boards farther in than King is. So you've got to figure out the situation as to the type of ball you throw. Patterson is more of an in and outer, moving a little deep, going around. King throwing more of a line ball. Patterson on 3. We're in the 9th. Throws. He's there. Boy, look at that ball. And here's a wonderful application, let's say, of a variation of styles. Patterson playing the right side, deep with the belly, throwing it out and bringing it back. On the left side, he's throwing more of the line ball as King is. So Johnny needs this one. The game will be even to the pin. Both boys potential. 248. King throws. He is there. Well, what a game, ladies and gentlemen. Hold your hats. 158 for both men in the 7th as we fill in the 30s for Patterson. They're both on doubles. They go into the 10th frame. A lot of strikes here since the 4th frame. We only had 1 strike the first 3 frames. We've had 2 spares. There it is. Well, that's 230. Johnny King, who will tell you that his biggest problem, as many of these great stars, as we talk to them each week here on Championship Bowling from the strike and spare lanes in Northbrook, Illinois, the thing that they are the most careful of is not to rush the line. Johnny will tell you always relax. Says as soon as he feels he's about ready to go, he tries to relax. You can almost see it. There it is. Well, there's not going to be much difference here if Pat can get a couple of them. And a couple of 248s would look pretty good here as these boys pile up pins. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the loser. But, of course, they're both thinking about pinfall. They will appear again, meeting a different opponent. Total pins for their 2 appearances, the 2 top men over the first 24 matches will qualify for the 6-game finals with a $15,000 added purse. King throws, he's there and leaves the 7th pin. And John doesn't mind that one right there. It's a difference of a pin. Had that happened on the first or second ball, I'm sure that John might have been a bit unhappy. So Mr. Patterson has an assignment. He needs 30 pins to win by 1. With 2 games to go, that 1 pin might not mean too much. Hurry up, Pat. Hey, he's got it. Boy, look at that action. Beautiful action. What a ball. Mr. Patterson was way out there that time. He brought it back. And those brand new AMF Chemweld plastic-coated ABC tournament-approved pins cooperated beautifully with this member of the AMF staff from St. Louis. Member, the Professional Bowlers Association, and a great star. They call him the Big Irishman. You got to hurry with that one, Pat. He got there, 10-pin. Look at that 6-pin in the channel. So Patterson has been in that pocket all the way from the 5th frame. He had a strike in the 4th, was short in the 5th, left the bucket, and that's getting pretty close to the pocket. Followed with 5 in a row, then a 10-pin stops him. The cover here will give him 237. Patterson 6 strikes, King 8 strikes. There it is. Well, a great start here on championship bowling between two great stars. Johnny King, 247. Pat Patterson, 237. We'll be back for the second game of 3. This is Fred Wolf from Northbrook, Illinois. Now, a word from our hosts. The scores for the first game: Pat Patterson from St. Louis, 237. Johnny King from Chicago, 247. Did you enjoy that first game? A great performance here. Johnny King had 8 strikes. He had a triple and a 4-bagger. Pat Patterson, 6 strikes, 5 of them in a row, and that's the way to get them. So game number 2 is out in front of us. The lead here is only 10 pins. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the loser. Now, as we mentioned, both of these boys will appear again, meeting different opponents in another match. It's total pins for the 6 games, which, of course, will qualify the 2 top scorers for the $15,000 added purse for the finals, 10 to the winner and 5,000 to the loser. Are you ready for game number 2? Northbrook, let me hear you. Johnny King starting the second game. Patterson started the first game. All games starting on the left side. 1 frame complete. His opponent will go from right to left. King throws. He's in. 1 more. So King, who had quite a string going, with a strike in the 8th, 9th, 2 in the 10th, left a 10-pin solid on his last ball, is right back with a strike on the left side as Patterson moves in on the right. Big Pat won the 1954 National Bowlers Journal Classic in Seattle, Washington. Gotta hurry, Pat. He gets there. Boy, look at that action. Now, Patterson throws a 3-finger am-flight ball, fingertip variety, very wide span. He must have about a 5-inch span there. Nice lift. Here it is. He's got 2. So we have a couple of real good ones going here, a couple of fellas that know their way around, and it's going to be a battle right to the finish. Johnny King had a lead of 10 pins. Right now, that lead is in jeopardy. King needs this one to keep his 10-pin margin. Can he get it? Oh, he's going to be there. He's there. That's the double. $10,000. For a perfect score. All competition sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. Now, you might be interested in this. These AMF lanes have been completely resurfaced, checked out to American Bowling Congress specifications. These are brand new AMF Chemweld plastic-coated pins. These are the best possible match game conditions you can get. Probably not the easiest for a bowler of our caliber. And some of you folks out there, you might find it a little difficult. 4-7 looked like a pretty good hit. Johnny couldn't understand that one. Just a bit tight. The 2-pin went right over the top of the 4. You've got to keep working with conditions like this. Of course, these boys have the privilege of working out a day or 2 before the match. And when they practice, I'll tell you they practice 3-4 hours at a crack. The 4 and the 7, and John covers. So Pat Patterson now moves in the 3rd, on 2, with a chance to take the lead for the first time. He has trailed all the way. He has been tied. He caught up to King in the 7th frame of the first game, but never got past him. So this strike for his turkey will give him the lead. It's out there. He sets it. Too high, 4-9. Well, this might be the first open frame of the match. On a pretty good hit. Both boys were in that pocket. Both a bit tight. King was a little tight, leaving the 4-7. Patterson gets the bad break, the 4-9. That ball cutting right through, chopping the 5 out, leaving the 9, and he's got it! Oh, man, what a shot! Great shot. Old Eagle Eye Patterson. So at the end of 3, you can see it, 48 spare for each man. There's still 10 pins separating these two great stars on championship bowling, where each week you'll see 2 of the nation's outstanding bowling stars in match game competition, fighting for over $60,000 in prizes. In the 4th, the Big Bend. It's there, right back. So Patterson has had 4 of them in there. The 4-9, of course, stopping him at 2. King has had 3 in there. In fact, King's been in that pocket for some time. He had the 2-5 in the 7th frame of the first game, and he's been in there ever since. Careful, careful. Too high. 7 pin. Just a bit off his line as Johnny takes a little practice swing. Make sure that he gets out of that ball the way he wants to get out. The knee bend on the stride. He's got the cover. So Patterson again will be in the position to take the lead because he sits on a strike in the 4th as King now registers the spare. John's got to start all over again. Johnny King, now a professional bowler, very popular member of the AMF staff. Years ago, used to be a top precision grinder.
Stay with it, John.
That's it. Well, I guess you might say that he's still a precision grinder because he can grind out those strikes pretty good. The strike for King in the 5th, and Mr. Pat Patterson moves back on the right with the same assignment he had in the 3rd frame, a strike for the lead. We're halfway. 5th frame, 2nd game. It's out, it comes back, it's in, no mistake that time. And Pat Patterson from St. Louis takes the lead. At the end of 5, Patterson is 68 double, King is 87 working on a strike. Big Pat now moving left. Boy, this strike will give him about 11 pins and put King on the spot. And he threw it away, out the window, a bad break. The 2-pin kicked out. He now has the 4-5 split. Well, he just made the 4-9. They'll tell you this one is easier than the 4-9, so let's see what he can do with it. So after taking the lead, taking a 9-pin lead right now, he needs this spare to stay out in front, and he almost turned it, just went past the 4. So King now has a chance to take the lead back. All he needs is a mark. The double, of course, will give him about 15 to 18 pins. This is the 6th frame of the 2nd game. Gotta hurry, John. There's the bucket again. And Johnny making like he's in pain. He made a big mistake. And his wife, Nettie, who was sitting in the audience here this week, I think felt that one too. Many of the wives accompanying their husbands here for championship bowling. Look out, John. He made it, going away. And King missed his mark, and as they say, he missed it far enough to make it. Had he stayed more on the line, he would have picked that 2 right out off the 5. So John converted. He was on the strike. He has a lead of 3 pins. We're in the 7th frame. And a real sizzler here. Never been more than 10 pins difference. King throws. Buried. So King now on the strike, 127 strike, as Patterson steps up in the 7th frame to try to match it. it. Tight, just a bit tight, the 4-pin. So Johnny King still keeps the margin here in game number 2. He leads by 3 pins. He won the first game by 10. 13. Lucky 13. Will it be lucky for Johnny King? Can he keep that lead? $1,000 to the winner. $500 to the loser. Cover by Patterson. We go into the 8th. Pat having great success here on the right side, lane 48. He has a great angle. And with that wide span, he gets out of that ball beautifully. We notice that he has 2 thumb holes in that ball. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Here he comes. Oh, boy, he brought that one in from right field. Pat Patterson throwing a bomb here. If he can just keep it where he wants it. The strike in the 8th. Still a potential 234. As Johnny King moves in on the right, he's on the strike. A chance to add to his margin. This is a big one. This will give him about 23 pins to work on with 2 frames to go. He winds. The lift. He's there. And John was a bit worried. He thought he was too high. That ball set exactly where he wanted it. And Pat and Johnny kibitzing a little bit. It's interesting to see the variation of styles here on the right side. Pat is way inside, throwing it out, bringing it back. King is more to the outside, 3/4 outside, holding that line beautifully. In the 9th, King's on 2, throws. He's got to dig. He's there, 3 in a row. So King again putting on that big finish as he did in the first game. He went all the way out from the 7th. This game he has started in the 6th, or starting the 7th. He started in the 8th, the first game, for 247, getting 29 pins in the 10th, leaving 10 pins solid. This game he can go all the way to match that 247. Patterson in the 9th, on the strike, throws, he's set, he's there, and that was a big double for Pat. So Patterson matched King's double, and if he'd have missed that one, Mr. King might have been long gone. But Patterson is still in the running. Patterson will bowl out first. If he goes all the way for 234, he will force King to get a strike to win. So a great exhibition of strikes by Pat Patterson of St. Louis, Johnny King of Chicago. 10th frame. Here it comes. Oh, look out! Happy with that. The Angels were flying. Oh, man, he had the 5, the 7, the 10. He had them all up there. And everything moved to the pit area, and all the tops of those AMF, Chem Weld plastic-coated pins decided, let's set him up again for this big fellow from St. Louis. 3 in a row. One more for 230. He throws. He's there. He's looking at a solid 8-pin. Oh, man, there's no justice. Well, that's what you call getting even in a hurry. Pat got away with one, but, boy, they took one away from him there. So he'll go for 223, a bad break and a good break. So they even out. Patterson with an open frame. He had the 4-5 split in the 6th. He covers that pesky 8-pin for 223. So for Patterson, it's 460. 237 and 223. Boy, this is a great match going. And King has a chance for a duplicate all the way for 247. Might have a couple of 700s going here. Patterson with 13 strikes in 2 games. We're in the 10th. King throws. Got to dig. He's there. 10th pin stops him. And there's a great life for Patterson. King not getting too far away. So King can win this one by 3 pins. He won the first game by 10. The margin's still going to be 13. That's the lucky number here, one way or another. Look out, John. Look out, John. He missed it. So now we have things pretty much even Steven as King misses the first pair of the match. A 10-pin on a turkey, then the miss, very costly, for 214. 223 for Patterson, 214 for Johnny King. So it looks like the third game will be for all the chips. So don't go away. This is Championship Bowling, originating from the Strike and Spare Lanes in Northbrook, Illinois. This is Fred Wolf, along with our statistician, Charlie Crovetti. We'll be back for the third game after our hosts plays a little game. The scores for the second game in what looks like to be a very interesting match. Johnny King, 214, his first open frame, missing a 10-pin. That gives him a total of 461. For Pat Patterson, 223, and Pat has a total of 460. Interesting statistic, King has 14 strikes, Pat Patterson 13 strikes. Repeating, King 461, Patterson 460. You all ready for game number 3? Come on, let's give him a little encouragement, and here we go. Starting game 3, big Pat Patterson ready. Patterson is in there, and this fella, believe me, is going to be a real tough cookie. Throwing a beautiful ball, more from the inside out. A very interesting bit of variation of styles. And the question is, which will be the most successful here on Championship Bowling this week? King winds one up. He's got to hurry with that one. He got there, both boys with strikes. Still one pin, 9 frames to go. $1,000 hangs in the balance. These boys getting some pretty good starts here. It's total pins for both appearances, 6 games. The top 2 scorers throughout our field of 24 of the nation's great stars will return for the $15,000 added championship roll-loss, which will go over 2 weeks, a total of 6 games. In the second frame, King throws. Here he comes, thin, and up jumps the devil. The 5, the 7, ho, and the 10. My. Could this happen? Well, it did. Johnny King. Oh, and John's a little bit unhappy with this one. Now, Patterson almost had the 5-7-10 in the first game. And one thing led to another. And they all went down. So John just taken out number 5 right in the middle. He is open, his second open frame of the match. And the most embarrassing open frame I guess a fellow could possibly get. So King has a job. He is open. If Patterson gets this one, Patterson will take the lead. Actually, for the first time. Big turn. There it is. He's got it. And goodbye, Johnny King, as Pat Patterson roars home as we hit the stretch at the end of 2. Pat with 2. King is open. So Patterson out in front. A total of 460. He needs 240 for 700. That would be 6 in a row. Or a 5-bagger and a double. Or a 4-bagger and a triple. Can he do it? He might need it. We're in the third. Patterson winds another one up. Here it comes. He gets there. 3 in a row. So Patterson really jumping on. He was on the strike. King was open, and Patterson came back with 2 big strikes. King is there. One slight mistake. The 5-7-10. Really an unusual leave, and you might say a little on the freakish side, because Johnny actually was in the pocket. You can't get the 5-7-10 unless you hit the pocket. He might have broken it up, at least to get the 5-7 or the 5-10, or as Patterson did, he got a strike on it when it looked like he had the 5-7-10. So King only has one way to go. He's got to throw all strikes. Leaves the 7 on a shaker. So King pressing a bit as Patterson strings them out. Here's the cover. So King, who has had 2 strikes, unable to get the double on the left side in both the second and fourth frames, will watch his opponent, Pat Patterson, move in on the right as he begins to swing 3 in a row. Finished the second game with 4. Ready, sets, in, carries, and that 4-pin was the last one out of there. In 1961, in the
Paramus Invitational, a PBA event. It was this same Pat Patterson who lost a dramatic sudden death roll-off with young Roy Lown of El Paso, Texas, for the $15,000 top prize that Roy Lown won. And he, of course, is one of our 24 stars. Here he goes. He's got it. Oh, he got away with it. So things are flying pretty good here for the big Irishman from St. Louis. A 5-bagger. Oh, he's got that 700 right there in the palm of his hands. He needs another double. That's all. King throws. 4-pin stops him. So Johnny King now squeezing it a bit. In the first 2 games, King had 9 out of a possible 10 strikes. On the left side, lane 47, before that 5-7-10 jumped up there. And, of course, he came right back and left a 7-pin, now the 4-pin. So at the end of 5, in game number 3, Patterson is all the way. King is 85 and a... King is 65 and a spare. Johnny throws too high, breaks it up, 6-10. Say, are you a housewife? Are you a student? Or are you a person who works odd hours? Now, if you are, why not go bowling once in a while during the weekday, daytime hours at your nearby establishment, since the majority of workers are unable to bowl at this time? There's the cover. It's your opportunity to take advantage of this relatively uncrowded hour. Why not make a date with a friend? Go bowling some weekday. During the afternoon, Mother. Get the kids off to school, have your fun, and be back home before they're out of school. We're in the 6th. Patterson is all the way. Big reach. He's there. Oh, 7-pin, and he finally crowds it out. And Big Pat Patterson is halfway to $10,000. 6 in a row. And he's just about wrapped this match up. And he's on his way to 700. All he has to do is fill in the last 4 frames. Games of 237, 223. He already has a total of 19 strikes. He's there again. Look at that ball. Wait, man. Oh, man, he buried that one right up to there. I'll tell you, that was about as solid as you could put it in there. And Mr. Patterson is flying. 7 in a row. And his young son, Gary, sitting here just to our left, all excited as King moves in the 7th, trailing now by 70 pins. Yep. And Mr. King having trouble. 7-pin again. So Pat Patterson, the big man here, at the Strike and Spare Lanes in Northbrook, Illinois, on championship bowling. Can he get 5 more strikes? The cover by King. So Johnny now moves in the 8th, trying to get every pin he can get. Total pins is important. Of course, he's already lost this match, but he can certainly come back in the next one. And he may be around here in the roll-offs. This fella's never out. Got to pick up a triple for that 200 score. Here's the first one. Oh, got it. Kicked it out. So King crowds the 5 out, and Johnny can still kick loose here with 212. That would give him 673. He has the first 7 strikes. He's left of center. Big reach. Big ball. He's there. Number 8. Oh, man, I'm telling you, these last 3, there hasn't been much doubt about them. He has really buried them. As the boys say, he's really stroking. I don't don't imagine Pat will be changing that bowling ball for a while. He usually works on about 6 of them. We're in the 9th. He has 8. Hold your seat. Oh, look at that! Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. The 10th frame is coming up. There are $10,000 hanging in the balance. If you're watching championship bowling, you better call your friends. They might be missing this. Give them a fast call. While Johnny King tries to get a strike in the 9th. Tell him to hurry. Tune it in. Pat Patterson is after the big one. King winds one up. Gets there. Shakes it up. Well, that's a big strike for John. So King, getting the big double, still has a chance for a nice 670, and that'll keep him in contention. Another 670 or possibly a 700 could be enough to qualify for the finals, as Pat Patterson is off with a big total. 237, 223. He sits on 9 strikes in a row. $10,000 staring him in the face as King bowls out and gets him a strike. So Johnny, who was a bit rocky here in this game, it all, of course, can be traced to the 5-7-10 in the 2nd frame when he was on a strike. It unnerved him a bit. He lost the range on the pocket in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th frames, but has bounced back now with a triple, a chance for the 4-bagger, and 212 with the count. Look out. Too high. 610. The cover here, 200. So King will get out with 661. You know, the American Cancer Society's slogan is fight cancer with a checkup and a check. This is the best insurance we have of finding a cure and ultimately a preventive for this terrible disease. Big Pat Patterson steps in. Everyone very quiet. 3 strikes away from $10,000. This is Patterson's favorite side. He chose to finish here. He won the toss. Will it pay off? He's out. He's in. He's there. He has number 10. And Patrick is down on his knees. And young Gary sitting here just to our left. I think he possibly may jump right out of his seat here with another strike. 10 in a row, ladies and gentlemen. Championship bowling from the Strike and Spare Lanes in Northbrook, Illinois. Fred Wolf hanging on the rafter. I may fall right out of here with this one. What do you say? Too far out. Too far out. 245. Well, that ball got just a little heavy for Big Pat. And what we could notice from our position here, on his backswing, his wrist became a bit too flexible, the old whiskey wrist, as they call it, and Pat gave it a little jerk at the last minute, tried to throw it out a little farther, figuring he might give it the extra turn, and he headed out too far. The 245 and $10,000 flies out the window. So for Pat Patterson in game number 3, 287. And what a great start and a great 700 series. Johnny King, 200. We'll check these scores, give you the totals, and have a word or two with these 2 fine bowlers after a word from our friendly hosts. Here are the scores. Johnny King, 247, 214, and 200 for a total of 661. For Big Pat Patterson, 237, 223, 10 in a row for 287, the total 747. How about that? John, come on up. Johnny, you're the runner-up here this week.
That's the way it's been lately, Freddie.
You got a big tiger there.
Anytime that a man gets 10 in a row, he's entitled to something like that.
John, here's the runner-up share. Of course, you'll be around here again for another appearance. You just give us a little 740 the next time, and you may be around here for the finals. John, you have rolled a 300 on television before, and I just remember that Pat rolled a 299 game on television some years ago in your hometown, Cleveland. At least that's where you originally came from. And you rolled yours here in Chicago. I'm going to ask Pat how he felt there in the 10th frame, having rolled one yourself. I wonder if you could tell our audience what you saw as far as Pat's delivery on that 11th ball. Did you notice anything any different?
Well, Freddie, let's assume now that we're going back to the 10th frame. The ball was a little tight, and he carried the hit, so naturally now he doesn't want to go too high again. So he wanted to swing the ball out a little further, but I think what happened, going to the line, he drifted in with his feet, and his arm didn't get out to the same spot.
Drifted left. That's what we saw back there.
That's what I saw from on the bench. He drifted a little to the left on the approach, and his arm went out to the right instead of straight out.
That's right. Because there are two ways to look at this. You ask the man who threw the ball, and he just says, well, the ball was too heavy, I was too nervous, and you don't get a technical explanation, as I'm sure you just gave us. John, good luck to you. We'll see you again. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring him out here. Big Patrick. Well, Pat, first your $1,000, put that away. And John, I think, gave a pretty good explanation of what happened to you on the 11th ball. Technically, now you tell us about the inside business.
Well,
here.
the ball was too heavy, and I was scared.
Well, that's getting...
Really, Fred, I think out of my 5 strikes I did get on lane 48 here, 4 of them were packed real tight.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Johnny said, I was afraid I was going to go too high the next time. I'd rather miss it on the right than on the left, so I gave it a little room hoping it would come back, because it had been coming back for me.
Well, now, what you just said is interesting to me. In other words, you say you'd rather be short than be too high.
I myself would, yes, because I can swish them when I'm thin, but when I'm high, I leave a 4-pin almost every time. So I'd rather take a chance on the ball carrying thin than on it carrying high.
Of course, for the average novice, there are many 300 games that are shot. There's always 1 or 2 Brooklyn. So if he figures, well, I'm going to make sure I hit the head pin, I might get away with one. But with you boys, you all-stars, you figure, well, I'm going to stay thin because I can shake.
That's what I feel about it.
Pat, it was a great performance. I'll repeat the scores. Pat Patterson, 237, 223, and 287 for a total of 747. Johnny King, 661. Did you enjoy this match? Well, normally here, Pat, we have a bowling tip of the week, and I've been very interested looking at your bowling ball. And, of course, this 10 in a row, and the way you're stroking that thing, as the boys call it. By the way, when you say stroking it, give me your explanation of stroking.
Well, my explanation of stroking, I don't think anyone can stroke a ball unless they've got proper timing. It's getting up there smoothly and getting a good smooth follow-through. It's when you're rolling the ball the same way every time.
That's what you boys call stroking.
That's what I call stroking. So
Would you get me that Am-Flight bowling ball of yours? And I'd like to have you explain to me. I don't know if the folks can see this, but Pat has a ball drilled here. This is the center of the ball, is it not?
That's right. That's where the weight of the ball is.
And you have your holes drilled way over. What's the span? About 5 inches?
Fred, I truthfully don't know. I put my hand in the ball and I say, that's the size I want, and they drill it for me.
Boy, that's a long reach. I can't even get in.
It's a full fingertip.
Now, you have a hole over here.
Well, I had it drilled off center. In other words, this is the top weight of the ball. I had it drilled over here to give me a little side weight.
Mm-hmm.
The man that drilled the ball drilled a little bit too far to the left, so I had more top weight than the ABC allows. I put a hole in the side to take some of the weight out. Now it's balanced perfectly right now.
Now, speaking of ABC regulations, this is all ABC sanctioned competition, of course. You had to take weight out here to maintain the ABC specifications of 1 ounce on each side, right?
There can't be any more than 1 ounce difference from one side to the other. Or 3 ounces from top to bottom.
Pat, good luck to you.
Thank
Might
you,
see you in the finals.
I
Ladies
hope
and
so.
gentlemen, Pat Patterson. Great performance by a great star from St. Louis. Hope you can join us again next week on Championship Bowling here at the Strike and Spare Lanes in Northbrook, Illinois. Until then, this is Fred Wolf reminding you that you don't have to play a sport good to be a good sport. Goodbye.
Championship Bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce Championship Bowling. Matching shirts and slacks used on Championship Bowling by King Louie.